Hey everyone, this is Thomas Wade, aka New Fate 26, and I've got just a couple of facts I want to go over before we get started today. First off, sorry about the wait. Uh, to make a long and boring story short, my phone broke and I had to buy a new one. Please let me know if the audio quality is any better or worse now. Second, I'm finally a real YouTuber! My last video on the Reincarnation remix for the new Ghost in the Shell movie got hit by 3 DMCAs. It might still be monetized. I'm really not sure if the third claim was resolved or not. My email is a bit of a mess right now while I try and reorganize it. And finally, I got my first rebuttal video. Admittedly, it was to a comment, not to one of my videos, and I expected this to happen after I had some subscribers, but what the hell, I'll take what I can get. If anyone listening to this is not subscribed to Danny the Dingo, I highly recommend checking him out. I'll try to leave a link in the description below. Even when I disagree with him, like here, he always brings points that are at least worth mulling over. That said, let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here. I'm not sorry for that at all.
So, gonna have to disagree with you here, honestly, from my perspective. So this was a comment from my video about Trump Care, by the way. Number 1, health insurance should be optional, not mandatory. Okay. I agree with you. Which then brings me to my rebuttal is, where did I state that in that video? Where was that ever my argument? I'll give you a hint. It never was.
You didn't, as far as I know, and I never said that you did. However, both the Trump Care and the Obamacare bills do. Or did. Whatever the proper verbiage is, I never know with these things.
2, greater risk factors mean greater cost. That's how insurance works. Medical should be no different. No. Don't come talking to me claiming that I don't know how insurance works. Do you honestly believe insurance is just to cover little shit? Like that's all it's intended to cover. Yes, you can get insurance plans that are limited coverage plans, but they're referred to as limited coverage. A standard insurance plan is meant to cover the median cost of what a standard pre-existing ailment would cost. That includes things like prescription drugs and treatments, doctor's visits, what have you.
Oh my god! What are you talking about? Because I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the risk factors, not the treatment. Quite simply put, all I am saying is that the risk factors for a person, whether that happens to be weight, gender, ethnicity, lifestyle choices, pre-existing conditions, all of those things, none of those things I haven't even thought of, they are all factors that help to determine the base cost. Not once in that entire post did I bring up coverage. That's like my saying that homeowners insurance needs to factor in details like the relative crime rate of a neighborhood into its base cost. And you're asking why I'm not also guaranteeing flood insurance. I'm sorry for the hyperbole, but God, this is an example of shit!
See, personally, if I found out that an insurance company was charging people with pre-existing conditions extra money, I would go to a different company. And look, maybe I'm of the minority on that mindset. But fuck them. The way it's supposed to work is a majority of healthy people pay into insurance companies so that sick people can be covered at the same cost.
I jumped ahead about a minute because here we finally get to the actual bullet point that I made in the first place. For full context, honestly, he was explaining how people who are less at risk health wise would cover the rest of those with bigger expenses. honestly, I don't care how an insurance company manages its profit margin model. That's all on them. Now, the reason I am getting to this point is partly because, like I said, this is the actual point that I was discussing, but it also helps to highlight the fundamental difference between how I view the relationship between the consumer and the insurance company and how he views it. However, this is all something I want to just briefly sum up at the ending, but it is something that I think should be kept in mind as we move forward.
The way it's supposed to work is a majority of healthy people pay into insurance companies so that sick people can be covered at the same cost.
Got it? Onwards!
And the overall cost of healthcare has spiraled out of control, and we need to rein it back in. Personally, I think university costs and the involvement of big pharmaceuticals are the primary reasons for that. But I'll admit it's not. No. It's because we created a system where the insurance companies are no longer at the mercy of the consumers. People have to have insurance, so they're jacking up the prices because they're allowed to. And it's getting to the point where the prices are getting jacked up so high that some people are opting out of having insurance in the first place because it's actually cheaper just to pay the fine, making insurance companies have to jack up the prices even more just to break even. Because now, only the sick people that have to have insurance are the people fucking paying for it.
While that may be a factor in regards to the cost of health insurance, I was talking about healthcare itself. Granted, the cost of healthcare is a factor in the cost of insurance, which is why I brought it up in the first place. In the United States, the cost of healthcare is noticeably different when compared to the healthcare systems of similar quality in nations around the world. The argument for this is often explained in two parts. One, that nations use social programs to help cover the cost of, and B, that the quality of care in the US is just that much better, and as a result, that much more expensive. All I said was that there are two parts that are likely heavy contributors to the cost of healthcare in the United States that we need to address and think about. The more tinfoil hat one is the big pharmaceutical idea. The idea itself is far more expansive than even I'm willing to believe, and I'm not sure how much of it is actually true and how much of it is just pure wanking. But I do know for certain that pharmaceutical drugs are not cheap, and that American doctors are noticeably more willing to prescribe them than other doctors around the world. My other point in this regard was the cost of universities. Higher education is growing more and more expensive each year, and medical universities are notorious in that regard. Add to that the fact that you have to attend them even longer than regular schooling. As such, the trained medical personnel required for a healthcare system demand high salaries in order to cover those accumulated costs. This cost is then reflected in the cost of treatment. Like I said, I haven't really looked into this, mostly because I'm not even sure how to look into this idea. What I do know is that for any business, the highest expense is always the personnel involved. Hashtag not all.
My complaints for the Trump Care bill were never that it was not inclusive enough or not generous enough. My complaints with the Trump Care bill are that they are trying to enforce insurance companies through the taking away of certain tax breaks to adhere to an ideological position and taking away coverage from the people who actually fucking need it, or jacking up the price on coverage for people who actually fucking need it, when the entire purpose of how the healthcare system was originally set up was to make it so that everybody paid the same, because healthy people were paying in so that sick people could have coverage too.
And here we finally get back to that disagreement over the nature of health insurance. If I understand you correctly, your argument is that the nature of insurance is meant to be a privatized social program to help the less fortunate. I, on the other hand, believe that it's more of a gamble between you and the company. The company is betting that you will pay them more than they will have to pay the hospital to cover your costs. On the other hand, you're betting the opposite. There's also the small argument to be made about peace of mind, but brass tacks and all that. That's all I had to say over this matter. As always, feel free to leave a comment telling me ways in which I suck and how to help improve the quality of these videos. Until next time, see you again.
So, dear Dipshit, you openly state in this you haven't done much research. My recommendation? Do some research next time.